Good morning, everybody. Shift your mindset here with a new episode of today. Today's episode will be the mass disappointment will kick in by the Jehovah's Witnesses in the next years. Why am I saying that? I was reading the article, I believe for this week's Watchtower study, and normally Watchtower stories are always positive and over exaggerated, always joyful and stuff like that. And now I saw some paragraphs that I wanted to examine with you guys, and I thought maybe this will kick in the reality, especially with the older generation of the Jehovah's Witnesses. I always had high hopes for the kids that they saw sooner than we did what kind of religion this is, and they will want to be free and stuff like that. But the organization is leaning towards other Christian denominations. It's more relaxed. It's not that they have the same rules, but it's easier to be a JW in these days because you just tick a box that you're active and stuff like that. But I think the older generation is gonna realize, starting the past years with all the changing of the rules, that they have done it all for nothing in their life. And why am I saying that? Let's find out. The Watchtower says in paragraph 10 of this week, and it's the Watchtower about how to overcome doubts. And paragraph 10 stated, later in life, some could think back and wonder whether they made the right decisions. Perhaps they decided to give up a promising career or successful business in order to serve Jehovah more fully. Now time has passed, perhaps even decades. They may see acquaintances who pursued secular interests and who now enjoy apparent financial security. As a result, they may wonder, were the sacrifices I made for Jehovah worth it? Or did they cause me to miss other opportunities? Sorry. I think Watchtower slipped up here, because this paragraph is exactly the thing that Jehovah's Witnesses start to think about their lives. The problem is, if you don't say these kind of things I'm reading out loud now, they don't think about it, because they are that much brainwashed. But now the writer of this article starts something, and JWs are, were the sacrifices I made worth it? These kind of questions start, in my opinion, critical thinking. Or did they cause me to miss other opportunities? I know my dad wanted to be a teacher, and he was in school for the education of becoming a teacher. And then 1975 was on the line when he got baptized in 1974. So he quit. Luckily, he only quit his education. He had also another good education before that, but he quit that education. Luckily, he didn't sell the house or whatever other guys are doing. JWs quit their businesses. They were their own boss. They quit their businesses because 75 was coming. And over the decades, many JWs sacrificed their own joyful moments, their own things they liked because of this organization. And this paragraph is not that helpful for the governing body, I think, because the old generation, 60, 70 years old, maybe 80 years old, are thinking now, were the sacrifices I made for Jehovah worth it? Or did they cause me to miss other opportunities? I know for a fact that my dad always thought, and he expressed it frequently to us as children, that he is gonna see Armageddon, that he is gonna survive Armageddon with us and entering the paradise on earth. He was 40 years old, he was 50 years old, he's 60 years old, 70 years old, he's now 75 years old. And although I don't have a contact with him, I'm not in any contact at all, but through other ways, people around him, I hear that he already stated, I'm not gonna make and see Armageddon. I'm gonna die in this old system. So his hope that he had his whole life is gone. And then they go on with, if similar questions bother you, consider how the writer of Psalm 73 felt. He saw others enjoying what looked like a healthy, prosperous, and stress-free life. That's also my goal now as ex-JW. Healthy, prosperous, and stress-free life. So, the main thing in this is what looked like. So, it looks like they have a healthy life, but it isn't a healthy life. As long as you're not a JW, you can't live a healthy, prosperous, and stress-free life. That's what they want you to believe. But is that true? Because other people are not bound by all the rules you got. So they have less stress, less guilt, less being ashamed, etc. And they can be healthy, prosperous, and stress-free. But being a Jehovah's Witness isn't a stress-free life. He continues, as he observed them and the apparent success. Watch the words, guys, in the Watchtower, they're mean as hell. But he felt that his efforts to serve Jehovah were pointless. He was troubled all day long by the discouraging thought. How did he deal with his troubled feelings? And of course, then there's a success story. How he dealt with his troubled feelings. But fact was, he was troubled all day long by discouraging thoughts. And that's what I see back in the JW life. They are troubled all day long. That's why you have so many mental health issues. That's why so many JWs reach for alcohol. Even if they come home from a meeting, the first thing they do is take alcohol, because it's every time all over again the same old song. It's the same old record playing all day long, and they don't book any progress. Paradise isn't closer. And then, of course, the psalmist went into a peaceful setting of Jehovah's sanctuary. There, he was able to think clearly. He discerned that even thought the life of some might seem easy, their long-term future was precarious, of course. With his insight, he found peace of mind, knowing that pursuing spiritual things was the very best decision. You can pursue spiritual things, but spiritual things is a big thing. It's not only being a JW. You can be spiritual and not be a JW. I think you can be more spiritual if you are not Jehovah's Witness. As a result, of course, he continued serving Jehovah. But so that was a quick fix. He was troubled all day long. Then he went to the peaceful setting of Jehovah's sanctuary and everything was solved. But it's not that easy for people to do that. I don't think you can do it like that. Just imagine something, but when you are feeling deep down inside that you're troubled, that feeling isn't going away, just when you're thinking of Jehovah's sanctuary. And we can also find similar peace of mind. How? Contemplate the value of what you have. Okay, I'm a JW. What I have troubles. I have financial troubles. I have a lot of feelings of shame, feeling less than others. I'm always busy with other people instead of myself. I'm not growing myself. I have trouble with that brother. I have trouble with this sister. There are a lot of troubles, but you have to value what you have. What do you have? I don't know. Oh, yeah, treasures in heaven. How do you know that you have treasures in heaven when you're here on planet Earth? All compare this to the outcome for those whose only reward is what this world has to offer. They may completely rely on their achievements in this life because they anticipate nothing else in the future. No, because we don't know what's in the future. For you, however, Jehovah promises blessings far beyond anything you could ever imagine. The best thing you can have, people, is your imagination. That is your best thing, but use it for the good now and not for some life what maybe won't happen to you. Also consider this: can we ever really know how our life would have turned out if we made different choices? Yes, to make other choices, to just try things, then you can really know how your life would have turned out. Try things, guys, but no, you have to be Jehovah's Witness. But one thing is certain: those who make choices based on their love of God and love of the neighbor never miss out on anything that is truly good. How do you know if you never have tried anything else? That you didn't miss out on something. So these are the paragraphs I wanted to highlight, because these are the paragraphs for me, that says something to me. If you read between the lines, I read that they acknowledge that there is kicking in a large mass disappointment within the religion. And it's especially the older ones. A funny story: after these paragraphs, you see a window washer dreaming about paradise while he's still working for little money on that age. He can't retire, he doesn't have a pension. Older generation, I know many of them got no pension because we already would have been in paradise. So a pension wasn't needed. And they're struggling now, and they're gonna struggle later big time. But I think, and I heard that this Watchtower study wasn't received very well in the congregation. Because people are gonna think about their lives now, and that's a good thing for me. I applaud that, because they're thinking, yeah, I'm 75 now, my dad is 75, and what did I gain? I lost a son, I lost my wife. Will I see her in paradise or not? If I see her in paradise, it's not a done deal that she's gonna be my wife again, because when she get a resurrection in paradise, she can choose to be with another brother if she wants. So you don't have certainties, you don't have anything to hold on to, because everything in the future is uncertain. And the older generation, if you are gonna get health problems, stuff like that, you're gonna reflect on your life. And you're gonna think, did I do it well? Did I raise my children well? And you get regrets and everything. Things are gonna spook through your head, of course, because we all want to live a fulfilling life. And you put aside so many things for yourself, for your children, for your wife, for an organization who doesn't give you anything in return. Nothing. Only a hope, and that hope, every time they postpone that hope. How many times do you let that happen before you wake up? So it makes sense for me if I think about this. Because if you are from the older generation, look at what's happened for you the last 10 years. The theocratic ministry is dead. Young JWs can't even remember 5 Bible scriptures by head. The level of education and knowledge in the JW's organization is less than it was ever had been. Some people don't even know that in Armageddon you can still be saved if you join the organization. Some people don't even know that Anthony Morris is no longer a member of the governing body. I saw it a lot. If you have pioneers for dinner, and I said, did you see the broadcast? Oh no, we are 2 months behind on the broadcast. So people, they only watch stuff and they don't remember it even, but they watch stuff, but there is no level of knowledge anymore of the Bible. The quality of public speakers, it's going down, and it's going down hard. It's a level of embarrassment at the moment. No magazines are printed anymore. The Watchtower, I believe, 1 time a year, and it was 1 time in 2 weeks. So we go from 100 to 1 now, the last 10 years. The organization isn't publishing any books anymore. The older generation loved those hard copy books to read in. My parents did, for sure. The usage of the Bible in the ministry and stuff like that, it isn't about the Bible anymore. It's more about the presentation and keep it short and blah 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 blah. So the usage of Bible during the worship or ministry is also gone. Kingdom halls are closed. They're merging congregations together. And a big thing that woke people up was COVID. Because COVID was a little bit something of the end game. It was the end game. It was the last days of the last days. But now we're still here and we're still alive and kicking. COVID took a disproportionate, I believe it is, effect or toll on the JWs. So many JWs died if you compare it with the population. They are disabled, bad financial shape because of COVID. Businesses closed. The ministry, door-to-door ministry after COVID hasn't recovered, in my opinion. The cards, they put all their money into the cards, but the cards aren't working either. People aren't running to the cards to get a conversation and to be a Jehovah's Witness. It's just something you see on the street and you think, okay, and you walk on. Congregation meetings, assemblies, conventions, it's all gray hair. It's all old squeaky bones. It's wrinkled skins everywhere. It's walking sticks. You have wheelchairs. It's one big fossil me thing. The younger generation isn't there so much. They don't have that hunger, that foot between the door mentality anymore, like the older generation. So the older generation is thinking, it's empty, my congregation. Many people are watching from Zoom still, and they're looking around and think, okay, why did we do it for? The change in policies for the beards and the pants, it's embarrassing for them. People are gonna reflect on their life. They think in their head that, hey, I was being counseled by the elders for having a little beard. My wife wasn't allowed to wear pants, and now suddenly everything is alright. They don't make excuses, and they look around and they see the whole level going down and more mainstream, and that's what it's not about. So they're gonna reflect on their lives. It's all about, the admittance requests for appointed positions, special schools, Bethel, being an elder, being a ministerial servant. It isn't there anymore. It's being relaxed. I know you had to be at least around 40 years when I was growing up to become an elder. Now you have elders of 20 years old. My father or other generation, men of that generation, were hold off in their spiritual progress because they didn't get the elder job. They were qualified, but and now suddenly a 20-year-old, he is 70 and he looks a few rows back and you see a guy still wet behind the ears is being now an elder, and he could be an elder his whole life already and he still isn't an elder. You know, that's gonna, you're gonna rub people against the hair in the hair. It's not, how do you call it? It's not honest. People were working hard. People did 10 hours, 15 hours ministry and still didn't make it as a ministerial servant or an elder because of a beard or because their attitude or whatever. And now a 20-year-old is making progress. So for Bethel, they had to lower the age to go to Bethel. They lowered the requirements, because how can you tell me now that a brother who's rank and file just have to tick a box that he's active? I had to do 10 hours a month at least, with 4 or 5 returning visits at least. If I didn't have returning visits, because I was counseled 6 months before I was appointed to be a ministerial servant, I was counseled that I had to upgrade my returning visits, because if I didn't do the returning visits in 10 or 15 hours of ministry, I wasn't serious enough. And how are you now checking that someone is qualified enough to be an elder or a ministerial servant? So the whole generation is looking upon all the changes that is going on. And I know one thing, because I also worked in companies where we had older people and they want to do it a certain way. They're used to a certain way. And when you come in and new fresh blood is gonna make changes, like another software program or whatever, they always go like this. They put the heels in the sand and they say, no, we always did it like this and blah, 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 blah. So they are not tuned in to making sudden changes. And now they get a lot on their plates. They get a lot of their plates because the organization is changing almost every day. No one can keep up with this organization anymore. They don't know what's happening. And that confusion, in my opinion, will make that the disappointment is kicking in. They are disappointed in the high memorial attendance. They are thinking, they're raising their eyebrows. What's going on, people? We were 7, 8, 9,000 and it was going in the right direction. And now we have 23,000 people who are partaking. What's going on? This isn't happening, right, guys? We're going the opposite way. We were close to Armageddon. We were close to paradise. And now they see all those changes that doesn't make sense. And their gut feeling says, hey, this isn't right. But they still have a lot of time, money invested in that religion. So the sunk cost fallacy will keep on. But I hope that this disappointment, what is setting in now in the organization, is going to develop. It's going to trigger something in them that they think, and they start critical thinking. That they think, hey, maybe I am played by the organization. Now we have 2 young people on the governing body. One is a real estate agent. The other is also only a few years at headquarters. Why is he already a governing body member? Why not something who is there for a long time, like Mark Numer or David Shaver or whatever guy there is? They have a track record. Where is this coming from? And I know that the older generation is smart. They are not dumb. They're smart. They're smarter than the newer generation, I think, because they don't know what the history of Jehovah's Witnesses is. They don't know anything. It's just a mainstream television religion. And they are just being a part of something, and they're more busy with greeting people and having a network around them and try nice clothes and drive a nice car and stuff like that. And so now and then we go to the meetings, but they're not that serious anymore as that older generation. So what I hope is that in the conclusion, were the sacrifices I made for Jehovah worth it? Or did they cause me to miss other opportunities? Were the sacrifices I made for Jehovah worth it? No, because I lost my son to this religion. Did they cause me to miss other opportunities? Yes, I missed the opportunity to meet my son, to have time with my son, to sit on the porch, drink a beer, talk about life, watching the animals across the park. I love my son. I would have dreamt of more time with him. Were the sacrifices I made for Jehovah worth it? I hope my father comes to the conclusion and says it wasn't worth it because it tore my family apart. I lost my wife, I lost my son, but he is still alive. But I never talk to him. We can't encourage each other. We can't share beautiful stories about my wife, his mom. We can't laugh together. We can't build something together, because he also likes to build and stuff like that. He could help me build a new house in a few months, but I sacrificed everything for this religion. And what did I get in return? I get in return bitterness. I get in return that I'm waiting, and they make all those funny changes I don't understand. So I think a lot of people, and I have high hopes in my father, that he will come to the conclusion that this whole thing that he and my mom started to be a Jehovah's Witnesses wasn't worth all the suffering he goes through now. Because it's not only me that he lost, he also lost his own self-esteem, his dignity, his self-worth, his joy. I never see him smile the last years of when we had contact. I never hear him telling me encouraging stories, only things that go wrong or that someone insulted him, but you have to cover it with love and blah blah blah. So deep down inside, I have hopes that he still comes to his senses. And I hope this week's Watchtower study will let people realize and start the critical thinking that, hey, maybe I've been deceived. Maybe it's time to wake up. And it doesn't matter if you are 70, 80 years old. Make the last days of your life the best days of your life, with freedom of thought, with joy, with don't feeling guilty that you're not enough, that you can do better, that you must do better. No, just have to be yourself. Enjoy life. Free yourself from the shackles of the JW religion. Thank you guys for watching. We see each other on the next episode.